You ever have one of those days where you save a multi-million-dollar factory before breakfast, then race through a blizzard to spoon soup into your sick kid's mouth, and still have to worry about getting deported before you even get a thank you? Yeah, that happened, and for a long time, nobody even knew my name, not really. So, let me back up a sec. It was pushing midnight, but I wasn't home. Not unless you call a rented room with black mold and a sticky lock home. I was parked in a vinyl chair next to a hospital bed, coat zipped tight, because I was only supposed to stay a minute, but I always stayed. Machines beeped soft beside me. That was Jalen, my boy, 10 years old, skin dark as river stone, chest rising funny beneath the hospital blanket. Heart's been faulty since he was born. Never got why a kid with so much light behind his eyes had to carry so much pain. But that was our Realitino husband. No relatives, no insurance that covers everything, no green card if anyone started asking questions. Just me and him holding on. My janitor job barely paid enough to keep his meds flowing. Forged some paperwork months back just to bump him into a better coverage bracket, one mistake away from getting caught. One knot from IC, and it's over. Most mornings, my shift hadn't even started, and I was already out, crunching through Newark snow to catch the first bus, hands frozen, eyes burning. By 5:12, I'd be at Magnetic Dynamics' Corp Giant Steel Factory, circuit boards stacked to the ceiling. I was always the first one in. No one clapped for the woman scrubbing oil from the floor before sunrise, or the one bleaching out the men's toilets. They never noticed the way I'd hum old calypso songs, or how my eyes flicked to the clock every 15 minutes counting down, not to a break, but to the moment I could ride back to the hospital and try to be a mom again. I wore a uniform 2 sizes too big, cap pulled low, face line more from years of holding my breath than age, always dodging questions, always quiet in my real self. Back in Trinidad, I was the engine whisperer certified mechanic, fixing things men twice my size couldn't. Here, survival meant making myself invisible, nodding politely as the engineers walked by without seeing me, never doing too well at anything so nobody looked twice. Still, I noticed everything, like the way the R-12, the biggest, baddest machine in the West, wing-hummed wrong that morning. Most folks wouldn't catch it, but I did. I crouched, pretending to mop, ran my fingers along the intake, felt heat that shouldn't have been there. Scribbled a note on a cleaning schedule. R-12 valve fluctuation, check before next cycle. But nobody reads the janitor's notes, right? Factory lights blinked on, machines coughed to life, and I moved in the shadows, wiping, scrubbing, cradling my side where it hurt, never letting the fear show. You know what I mean? Survival's a habit after a while. But I couldn't let that machine go. When the morning shift hit, a sudden silence cut through the factory. The R-12 stall just died. That thing was the plant's heartbeat, key to a $7 million contract, shipping in 2 days. At first, the engineers didn't panic, just typed frantically, rechecked valves, muttered code, but that red error light blinked stubborn as hell. I stood up on the mezzanine, mop in hand, watching them sweat. I could see it clear as day they were missing something. Should have kept out, but my feet walked me down anyhow. "Excuse me," I said barely above the noise. One young guy looked at me, shrugged me off. "This area's off limits." But I pressed on, voice steady even if my chest was screaming, the intake valve stuck. "If you reset now, you'll fry the secondary line." They laughed. Not cruel, just didn't believe Ida Janitor schooling engineers. Still, I held my ground. "Give me 2 minutes. If I'm wrong, you lose nothing. If I'm right, we save the plant." The floor manager, big guy, walks like he owns the place, looked me up and down, unimpressed. "You're not certified. I'm not asking to touch it. I'm asking to try." For a second, nobody breathed. Then he waved me on. "Fine. Let the janitor have a go." My hands didn't shake. I crouched, spotted a melted wire cluster exactly where I feared, pulled a zip tie from my coat, rerouted the circuit, toggled the manual reset. The machine sputtered, then roared green lights across the panel. Floor inhaled, then burst into cheers. Someone clapped me on the back. I just whispered, "Thank you," tugged my gloves back on, and ran, nobody knowing I had a bus to catch, a son to save. But someone was watching. Behind the observation glass, a man in a dark wool coat, no badge, No clipboard, just quiet eyes. Thomas Weller, the CEO. He didn't say a word, just follow me through the city as I blended into the cold, waited at the slush-soaked bus stop, rode to Newer General, hurried up to room 327. He saw it. I'm smoothing my coat, bracing myself before going in to see Jalen, feeding him soup, telling him stories about the R-12, making him giggle even with wires taped to his chest. Thomas lingered in the hallway. Watch me hold it together with nothing but love and stubborn faith. Later, after I left, he made a call. Immigration lawyer, insurance fraud defense, didn't ask my permission, just set things in motion. Next morning, I found an envelope in my locker, a letter from the CEO himself, inviting me to join the company's technical apprenticeship program with full pay and protected status. I had to read it 3 times to believe it. That night, I bent over my son's bed and whispered, "Guess what, baby mama's going back to school." Miracles come quiet. Some mess, no thunder, just folded letters in cold lockers and strangers who finally look up. Within months, I went from invisible to indispensable. My test scores broke records. Even the most skeptical engineers started coming to me for advice. By year's end, I was leading a pilot team redesigning machines for higher efficiency. My name showed up in newsletters, finally on a project plaque. But not everyone was happy. Rudd, the manager who'd once laughed at me, started plotting misplaced files, missed meeting invites. It didn't stop me, so he went further, hacked into my digital files, then framed me for leaking blueprints to a rival. The factory buzzed with rumors. I was called into an investigation, suspended, humiliated. But I've been through worse. At home, I went through every notebook, remembered a security cam in the R&D annex, requested the footage, and there he was, Rudd, copying my files, sneaking glances. In front of the review board, I played the tape. My voice didn't tremble. This isn't about ambition. It's about truth and who gets believed. They cleared me, fired Rudd. Most people just stayed quiet, but from that day on, I stood a little taller. The whispers faded. The work mattered again. When Thomas asked how he could help, I said I didn't want a promotion, I wanted a door for other women like me. Immigrants, single moms, folks who get overlooked unless someone pulls them up. He said yes, right there in his office, no hesitation. 3 months later, the factory floor was filled with new faces, women in headscarves, older women, women with accents and stories like mine. I became their mentor, not their boss, proof that someone like them could belong. When they offered me an executive title, I took the office but turned half of it into a resource room for trainees. I didn't press charges against Rudd. We grow by lifting others up, not dragging them down, I said. I added a workplace ethics unit to the curriculum. That was justice, not revenge, but prevention. Soon, a new building went up across the street, the Clarice Project Center for Technical Empowerment and Pediatric Care. Kids got treated while their mothers learned in classrooms next door. At the ribbon cutting, I stood back, let others take the spotlight. Jalen, now 13, stronger, looked at me. "Mama, was it worth it?" I smiled, touched his cheek. Every silent night, every step I thought no one saw. It was worth it for this. As we locked up and walked into the night, the legacy I built wasn't in plaques or paychecks, but in possibility. Maybe it's not really the end, because somewhere right now, another woman is dreaming with calloused hands and a bright mind, just waiting for someone to believe in her too. So tell me, what do you stand on second chances? Is justice about punishment or building a better future? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about what it means to really see each other and what it takes to change a system one voice at a time. If stories like this matter to you, hit like, subscribe, and let's keep the conversation and the hope alive.